Hello students, a warm welcome to you all. Good morning. Today's session we are going to learn Unit 3 Supplementary. The topic is Earthquake, written by M.S. Madhavan. Dear students, let's learn the meaning for better understanding and move on with the story. Glossary: a stranger, an unknown person, rickety, poorly made object unlikely to collapse, flavored, tasting, dwelling, living, accustomed to, used to, tremor, a silent earthquake, devastation, destruction, destroyed, damaged heavily, rubble, piles of broken stones and bricks, nightmare, frightening dream, boulder, big rocks, haphazardly, in a random manner, blasting, exploding, flatten, knock down, makeshift camp, temporary camp, crimination, burial, babbling, speaking unintelligently, doggedly, very determined, feverishly, unnaturally excited or active, rugged, rough. Dear children, let's learn the lesson with many subheadings to make our understanding quick and easy. Here we see Pauri, Uttarakhand as the first topic. The author opened the story with a young boy greeting a traveler early in the morning on the way to his tea shop near Pauri. Pauri is the headquarters of the district, Pauri Garhwal, and also the Garhwal division. Pauri is a hidden treasure because one of the most beautiful and dominating color of fiery orange sunset seen in Pauri. The climate remains pleasant throughout the year except winters. Now let's learn about the young boy, who is called to be the narrator. His name is Bridge. One morning, the young narrator, walking to his tea stall with a can of milk, invited a traveler who looked tired and cold. The traveler resembled like an army officer, whom he feels grateful. His tea shop is on the roadside that leads to both the pilgrimage to Badrinath temple and the Valley of Flowers, which was the trekking and tourism spot. Now let's see the travelers and his tea shop. Now the narrator extended his warm welcome and took the traveler, assuring to prepare him the best cup of tea in 10 minutes' time. He made the traveler sit comfortably on a shaky or rickety wooden bench, hoping that it would balance his weight while making tea. He engaged his traveler by his self-introduction. He introduced himself as his name Bridge, and he is 17 years old. He opened his tea shop 2 years ago. Previously, he worked in Ponnipet, where there was too much of heat, crowd, and pollution. He said that he saved most of his earnings for opening a tea stall. And by the God's grace, he get enough decent income for his livelihood, and then Bridge offered the traveler a strong sweet tea and started to describe about his village, valley and Himalayas. The next topic is the earthquake night. Bridge continued to pour out his burden about the earthquake that devastated his ancestors' village. The narrator recalled his past 4 years ago. In the month of October, a powerful earthquake shook the valley. Himalayas may look strong, but deep down they are unstable. Though tremor are common in Himalayas, tremor means slight earthquake, and people are used with the tremor. The earthquake on that particular night was a terrible one. The effects were even felt in Delhi and Lucknow, which were very far away from Molti. It was lasted less than 5 minutes, but that time was enough to destroy 602 villages out of 670 villages, and to crush the centuries old mountains and to snuff out hundreds of lives in the villages. The next topic is about his uncle's house. The narrator Bridge says that on that particular night he was away from his house to Molti, to Pauri to buy his school books, and stayed there at that uncle's house at Pauri. At his uncle's house at Pauri. He added the people at Pauri to felt the earthquake in that particular night, but Pauri withstood the tremor which shook again and again. The next morning he was among the first one to reach the village, accompanied by his uncle. Dear children, let's see about his house, that is his house in Molti. The narrator Bridge says that their house was two-storage stone building built by his great-grandfather. There were 3 children. They were cared by his mother as his father died of illness just 14 months ago. Bridge was the eldest son, had a brother of 10 years old Neelu and a sister of 2 years old named Bowli. His grandmother lived with them. When he reached the village, every single house in the village, every wall and roof had been flattened. For about 602 villages were flattened or destroyed that night. Only stones, rubbles, and dust remains there. Next heading is rescue operation. He continued that when the soldier began to clear the debris, his uncle took him away because he was in a complete day almost unconscious to feel anything. Around evening, his uncle called him gently to perform the last rites before sunset. His uncle said the soldiers have taken the body to the river bank and to ready for cremation. At that time, he recalled the moment that he had last seen his family smiling and waving their hands at him at the doorway while he was leaving to Pauri. But not like this, lifeless. All the other bodies are there. But he couldn't find there his sister Bauli. His uncle told him that the soldiers had not found his sister Bauli. The next topic is search operation. Search operation for his missing sister. His uncle stressed that there was no possibility for his sister to be alive because that area was known for wild animals. But Bridge ran back to the place where his house stood, and he scrambled round and removing stones, searching for his 2-year-old baby sister. The army officer who was supervised the relief operation noticed the narrator Bridge and said that was no one alive there. But Bridge was not willing to give up his search. He said all that he wished is to give up a proper cremation to his sister. Tears rolled down non-stop from his eyes. He, moved by this anguished cry, the army officer shook his head and turned away. 10 minutes later, the officer came back with 3 soldiers. They started the search with firm determination. They began removing the debris with the spades and crowbars. When it was dark, someone brought a Petromax lamp. After 2 hours after a 2-hour search of soldiers who stood in the middle of a small hollow called the others, they cleared the hollow and lifted the door. There they saw Bauli, sister of Bridge, was alive. It was a miracle. She had been buried under the debris for 116 hours. She had survived the earthquake, the cold nights, and the wild animals. Then the soldiers wrapped her in a warm blanket and took her to the hospital and saved her life. That courageous, determined, and human act of the army officer created an impact on him. The next day, the narrator Bridge went to thank the army officer, but he was gone. Then the narrator and his sister went to their uncle's house. Soon Bridge got a job near Panipat. Bauli stayed back and started going to school. The last topic is a symbol of love. That day onwards, Bridge was looking for the army officer. He gave a cup of tea to whoever resembled him. Bridge felt indebted to the army officer, whom he was not able to thank. A month later, he quit his job and returned to the mountains. Now he is happy and contented to do a small service of offering tea to the tourist for no money and wishes them a safe journey. Thus, he has become a symbol of love and humanity. That's all with the lesson, students. Shall we summarize the story in brief? One early morning, the narrator Bridge welcomed the traveler on his way to his roadside stall, and he offered him a best cup of coffee in Garhwal. The narrator engaged the traveler, telling his past story of his village and the devastating earthquake which destroyed 602 villages within 5 minutes' time. But Bridge was not in his house at that particular night. He was in his uncle's house at Pauri. The next morning, Bridge was one among the first who reached Malti. Nothing remained in the village except rumbles and debris. Around evening, his uncle took him to perform the last rites for the bodies before the cremation. The narrator found that his sister was missing, so he went back searching for her. Then the army officer with his men found her alive after 2 hours of continuous search. When the narrator went to thank the army officer the next day, he was not there. He was gone elsewhere. So, thereafter, the narrator started offering a cup of tea to whoever resembled the army officer. As a symbol of gratitude, he feels that he is indebted to the army officer. Thus, he becomes a symbol of love and humanity. Children, read the lesson repeatedly for more understanding. Follow the work daily. Don't keep pending work. Send the assignments regularly. Best of luck. Thank you.